and welcome to Training Tuesday, where we go through weekly tips and tricks to make your career just a little bit more awesome. This week we are talking about natural skills, so the things that come easily to you that have always kind of come easily to you. And the reason I bring these up is because so often people forget that natural skills are still skills. And this lesson really came through to me, and I realized I needed to share it this week after a call a couple weeks back with one of my longtime clients. Now, this woman has worked with me for coming up on 2 years now. And so we always joke because she's now started to get the, as she calls it, the Chris voice in the back of her head. And she'll say, oh, well, I know you would have said this, so I already kind of talked myself through that. And it's great. It's ideal. That's exactly what we want because she can catch herself in real time opposed to needing my guidance always. So as I was talking to her, she was telling me about something that she was doing for a workshop she was running. And she said, and whatever it was my natural skill, but I had to remind myself, as you would always tell me, just because it's an inherent skill doesn't mean it's not a skill. And I was like, yeah, you're right. I don't even remember saying that to you, but it sounds like something I would say, and I agree, right? And so, of course, it's such a pleasure for me to be able to hear those things back and being able to watch clients really retain this stuff. But also I realized it was a lesson that I think needs to be reminded to a lot of you. Because so often I hear from people who are at this point in their career where they're doing, and they start to talk. When I get to talk with them, they start to talk about these common themes. And I'll ask them, oh, okay, so is that something that you've incorporated into your career? These things that they always kind of have the tendency to do? And they're like, well, sometimes, but sometimes they say, not really. I mean, I didn't even think about the fact that I could do more of this in my career. And that's really where the good stuff comes, right, guys? Is actually just incorporating more of the stuff you like, less of the stuff you don't. And so we want to start to think about natural skills today, because that's how you can bring more ease and lightness into your career, right? Is by actually doing the stuff that you've always been really great at. It can make the whole process easier. And who wouldn't want that? So that is my tip for you this week, is to start to incorporate these things, right? And that's what I want you to think about is, what are those skills that I've inherently always been good at? So that is my tip for you. I want you to sit and either journal, ask yourself, right, what are the things that I've naturally always been really great at that I could incorporate in my career some way? And this is even something that you can reach out to, some of the people who know you really well. You can reach out to someone who's worked with you before, a friend who knows you really well, whoever. But start to ask them, what are some of those natural skills? Because I know for me, right, collaboration has been something that's really big for me and really important to me, and it's always been something I've enjoyed. As I've shared on here before, I was the weirdo who loved making my wedding seating chart because I could think about the connections between people and who would get along in that capacity, right? So I've always enjoyed that thing. So start to think about what's something that I've always loved to do and then I've always been great at. Take some time to consider what that is, ask people if you need that support, and then the next step, of course, is going to be thinking about how can I bring more of that into my career. Okay, so start there this week. Start with this tip and start by asking other people and starting to get a good idea of what are my inherent skills, because I guarantee it's going to be so helpful if you can bring more of that into your work day to day. Okay, so start there. If you need help identifying these things, of course, you can always shoot me a direct message. But in the meantime, happy working!